Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Growing and Becoming podcast. I hope that you have all been well. I'm really excited about this episode because I finally got a very special somebody to grace my couch, the GB couch. It's been a long time coming. I know a few people have asked, like, oh, why haven't you gotten him to come on your podcast yet? But you see, guys, I've been waiting for the perfect time. And yeah, we finally decided to just do it. But yeah, I have the most handsome, the sweetest, the smartest, the most caring and loving man in the... Why are you blushing? In the whole wide world. My darling, darling baby, my husband. How are you now? How far?
I'm fine. It's amazing being on the Growing and Becoming podcast. Been looking forward to it for a while now.
So you've been dreaming and wishing that... Anyways, it's cool, fair enough. I mean, the GB pod is like... It's
a big deal.
A global platform.
Exactly. So if I say I am honored to be in it, I'm honored to be here.
I'm actually very honored to have you on my podcast. You have so much wisdom, and I think it's important that, I share it with other people. You know me, I'm not selfish.
You're not at all.
I'm a very nice girl. That's why you married me. I'm very kind, very loving, and I think of others. That's why I said, no, you people should hear the substance, the material that I married. Hello, somebody.
Hi, everyone.
What? Bless you. Yeah, how was the spaghetti today?
It was good. I'm not a fan, but...
Oh, babe. Just say you like the spaghetti.
It was really good. I liked it.
You will now say, someone will not think, maybe the spaghetti is not even sweet like that.
Nah, she makes the best spaghetti. I'm not just a fan that much.
Why can't you just say the spaghetti is nice and do it?
Spaghetti was amazing, guys. You need to taste my wife spaghetti.
So I should be cooking for the whole world. Oh Lord, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about something that's a bit different. What are we talking about?
Money.
Talking about...
And it affects our relationships.
Money. Let's talk about money. Are there any songs for money?
I'm sure there are notes.
Let me tell you the song for money. Love is sweeter. But when it is, love is sweeter. Oh my God, it reminds me of the conversation we had this evening with our friends on the married couples community in church. I think somebody asked one of the couples, I think they've been married for 5 years, they asked them to give us their top tip or their one thing they've learned in their 5 years of being married. And that response,
yes, it should be free.
I said, wow, that's a quote. She said, love plus money, not collabo. My sister preached. Well, yeah, for real, what do you think?
I mean, money makes it even sweeter.
It does, doesn't it? I'll be honest. Let's all be honest.
Yeah, you do need the money. It's not bad to talk about money. Money is an enabler. Okay. So if you are going to have a beautiful relationship, if you're going to do a lot of things for your partner, and it works both ways, you need money. Money needs to be involved.
I ain't gonna lie. If you didn't take me on 1 or 2 dates, if you didn't buy me 1 or 2 things, even though I'm not an ostentatious person, I'm not materialistic.
Yeah, of course.
I'm such a... I don't want to say bare minimum, but it's I don't really care. Mm-hmm. Do you get? You can buy me simple things. When I tell you, if someone buys me shortbread, I'll be so happy and pleased with you.
Yeah.
I appreciate the thoughts more than the monetary value of something. Yes. Obviously, if I see that something is of high monetary value, I will appreciate it and recognize it. But it's not all in all for me. Mm-hmm. But even at that, if there was no money to even do those basic things, I don't know, it just won't be nice. Because, when we used to go out, when we did that boat tour thing.
By the way, this was before we got married.
This was before.
It's been multiplied now that we're married.
I know. Like our honeymoon, oh gosh, our honeymoon was amazing. And to think I actually almost talked you out of us doing that.
Yeah, it's good to always listen to a man of wisdom.
Hey, listen, guys, get you a man that knows a lot, a wise man, a man that is forward thinking. Because I think for me, I was worried. I was like, oh my God, we can use this money to do many things. We can save, blah, blah, blah. And my husband was like, child, what are you talking about? And just listening to someone who has that financial wisdom. I used to approach money from such a careful place. Like I'm always so careful. I'd rather save. I don't like splurging on things. I don't like spending a lot of money on things. I would rather keep money for a later day. God knows what day that is. But remember you saying, no, that we can actually do this. And we live in a country that, is built on, like this, the way the system works, you can actually pay for things in installments. Like no one is saying that you should pay for holiday. Exactly. And because of job security, we're able to pay for a holiday in just a few months. Remember when you told me we had our last payment for the holiday and I was like, for real? Because in my head, I'm like, really? I didn't really feel anything. And you're like, well, told you. So I'm really glad I listened to you because that's 100% the best holiday I've had in my life.
Plus, it was your honeymoon.
It was my honeymoon. I mean, to be fair, it was my honeymoon and it was so amazing. So yeah, thank you. And I think one of the things that being married to you has really taught me is to take financial risks. For me, that was a risk because I'm always thinking about saving for the future. And it's almost like I deny myself of good things now. But then there's a level of financial wisdom that you will get to.
You can do everything.
You can do them side by side. I remember when you told me about investing, and I mean, I've always known about these things, but I did not have practical knowledge. But you had the practicalities, you had the blueprints, and I had to trust you. Even before we got married, I had to trust your financial direction. I mean, you're Mr. Wells. Everybody calls you Mr. Wells, and there's a prophecy over you. We talk about all of that, but yeah, I just wanted to say that's one of the many things that being married to you has taught me. And I know that there are a lot of people like me who need to explore this tricky side of life called money. So exploring the kind of relationship that we as individuals have with money, and then how money affects our relationships with everybody around us.
Exactly.
So that's what we're talking about today. Are you excited?
I am excited.
This is your forte.
I believe so.
Okay, so I think the very first question that I will ask you is, Mr. Wells, why do they call you Mr. Wells? Because we know that's not your first name.
Yes. It's not in any of my documents either yet, but it's a story, and if you are a believer listening, you probably have heard God tell you something in the past, and you held on to it. And if you're like me, you probably have seen it manifest in your life. So Mr. Well came about 2011. This was 13 years ago now. I was in uni for my first degree, University of Benin back in Nigeria, and I used to be a church boy, still am a church boy. So we'll go out in the mornings, 5:30, 6 a.m., and a few of my friends and I to pray, just, speak words into our future, And so that morning, as was my custom, I go on to that field, praying, leading the guys, and I hear, I have called you to be the controller of wealth. Now, a young Christian, excited, I run with it, I am the controller of wealth. So it took 1 year after for me to really sit back and ask the Father what exactly that meant in the long term. And I had a session that day of the Holy Spirit dropping in my heart what the vision God has for me, how that there would be so much wealth that it will make me finance the kingdom. And I need to, at this point, mention that when you hear wealth, many times it's not only when you're talking about money. Wealth is in resources. So there's the resources that is man that you have. Someone. There is wealth that is money, physical money now that you can exchange for stuff. And then there's your integrity as well. Knowing that if my name is mentioned somewhere, they know, oh, that dude, I trust him. He can get this done. If he says this, he's going to do it. That is wealth. When your name is mentioned somewhere, they can rely on the integrity that you have. So when God explained all of this to me, I knew that it did not necessarily mean I'll become a billionaire. I still would, but it meant that I needed to develop different sort of virtues in myself, a drive for excellence, hunger to do more, always striving to be honest and integrity, being there for people, building brilliant relationships so that would be needed if I need to do something relating to the kingdom. So yes, guys, that's how Mr. Wealth came about, and it's been 13 years now.
Wow.
And I'll be honest with you, I have seen it play out in my life. There've been times that I wonder, how did I come this far? I'm not even anywhere close to where God has said.
Absolutely.
But I've come a long way, and I'm just grateful to God for that.
Yeah, that's so good. Another thing that I learned from you is probably the very first it's probably the very first thing that I learned from you, and that's how to run with prophecy. I did not understand the concept of running with prophecy until I met you, because tell me how someone receives a prophecy, about a decade ago, and they hold on to it like it's something they heard last night, and how you are still running with that mindset, that vision, many, many years later, not even losing hope, not losing sight of where God has called you. You are not even trying to derail from that path. It's almost like it is your second nature. You trust and believe the word of God so deeply that you have made it your entire identity. I think it's really something for somebody to learn, because I understand prophecy, but seeing how a man runs with this vision for years, and like you said, you are not anywhere close to where God had painted for you. And I've never for once seen you look at yourself or look at life a certain way, like, oh, why am I still here? Or how come this hasn't happened? No, you wake up every day and you are Mr. Wealth.
I am. I've come a long way.
Yeah, I've come a very long way.
Yeah, I've come a long way, and it's just beautiful to see that for the last 13 years, all God has said has been unfolding one chapter at a time. Then if Christ tarries, just give me a few more years.
Honestly. But yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing, that little background into how you started in terms of, living out your prophecy and where you are at the moment. Like you said, you are nowhere near where God has painted. And we know that God has such mighty and great plans.
Yes.
But how far you've come is still worthy of admiration. Like people, I look to you and I'm like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Yeah. But in terms of, getting to that place where God has called you, what are some of the things that you are doing? And what are the things that you will not be doing? Because I imagine if you're going to make billions and millions in this world, you might have to compromise a bit. You got to do some things, right? Because I know that you hustled. This is my husband. You have hustled. There are things you've done. I'm like, So where do you draw the line? What are the things that you just can't do?
Okay, I think I'll start with my background. I come from a family, quite a large family, and I think one thing holds sway in the entire family: having a good name.
Yeah.
Having a situation where people know that you are a person of integrity, right? And it's not because as a human being, you do not have the ability, or I've never been tempted to steal. It is because of how I was brought up. My dad would always say, that good name you have is better than riches, right? He would rather go to bed hungry than have to change things. Now, back to the question, where do you draw the line? Personally, for me, I have had situations where I almost compromised. Situations where things I would usually not think about.
Now you're thinking about them.
I'm thinking about them because of a financial decision I need to make. And so I have this friend, we're in the same class, studying the same course, who was good with gambling. I think they call it betting, Bet Niger and the likes, right? He could stake maybe 1,000 naira and end up winning 200K.
Hey.
At the time, I was doing a lot of things just to survive in school. I was selling wristwatches for women, selling Brazilian hair at the time.
Come on now. I must have been making a lot of money.
But I mean, we were trying at the time. Just trying to establish myself with little tiny bits in uni.
Record.
I have been doing it a while now. And I got to that point where I needed more money to, do stuff. And against my usual decision, I went up to this guy, my friend, and I said, yo, please show me how to do this stuff. That meant I would need to get money, put bets, put the money in one or a variety of clubs or teams and expect to win big like he does. And he said something that stuck with me for years. Pastor, I beg you, I don't want me God vex for me. This was his exact words. So I felt ashamed. And that further reinforced my decision never to do anything shady. Now, this is the same person who has, in a bid to make ends meet, sell Brazilian hair, sell bags, sell wristwatches here and there, earrings for ladies. And now I'm trying to compromise because I see someone in front of me making that much money every week. Not from a legitimate hustle, but from statistically researched. It's been researched that if people continue on that path, they probably end up becoming addicted and even losing their homes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There are people who have sold houses just to place a stake on something.
Have lost their families. They've been estranged from their families, gone into drugs, gone to jail.
So this was God helping me not make that decision. So obviously there are things that I wouldn't do. Up until now, I would not compromise. I do not need to lie to make money. I would not get in a situation where someone needs to get hurt because I need to make money. And for years, I have never, for any reason, thought about staking ever again. Because what he said that day hit my heart. Like, nah, this is not what God would have you to.
Absolutely. And our image like people are watching us, and people are seeing the life of Christ. We have that responsibility to image Christ properly in our world, in our society. The Bible says that we are ambassadors of Christ. So who is an ambassador? Someone that represents, a country in another place. So we are representing the kingdom of God on earth.
Yeah.
And sometimes we feel like, well, I have the right to do what I want, but people are watching. And it's not to say that you should live your life because people are watching, but because you have a duty as a child of God. You have a duty as an envoy of Christ on the earth to make sure that when people look at our lives, they don't doubt for a second that we are who we say we are.
Exactly.
They know where we're coming from. There's certain businesses I don't think I can go into, I wouldn't go into like bleaching cosmetic industry. People that make bleaching cream. I won't do it. Not because of, there's no a matter of spirituality, I guess. And that's another thing, yeah. There are certain things that are not written in black and white in the Bible, like saying, don't do this. But wisdom necessitates that there are certain things that you should just really not find yourself doing. Because money is nice, and there are certain industries that pay. The beauty industry pays. And if I decide to start like a cosmetic industry where we're making bleaching creams for women or men, whatever, it will make a lot of money. You will cash out.
Always does.
The industry is booming. So industries like that would prey on the vulnerable and prey on people's insecurities, I wouldn't venture into. I've always wanted, before I got saved, I wanted to have a club.
That one.
Because I just thought it was a very nice meet. Because when I hear the amounts that people are spending in the club, I say, don't worry.
Let's get one or two.
Let me just get one or two. And that's why I do believe that morality is one thing. Morality is one thing, but Christian godly values is another thing. Because our morals could differ. There are certain things that are morally acceptable in this part of the world that might not be morally acceptable in another part of the world. So I think Christian values is what should drive our decisions on what we can and can't do. And sometimes I find that we try to rationalize things. I know there's one thing that I was talking about recently that I know is a very dicey topic for some people, and that's yoga. Yoga, the Hindu practice. I don't know. I don't care what you people call it. It's a Hindu practice. Obviously, do your exercises and all that cute stuff. Forget for me, I'm not going to put my money to promote another religious practice.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? What else would I not venture into? I don't know. I guess some aspects of the beauty industry, I just think they prey on the vulnerable. To an extent, alcohol, to an extent. And I say that because I know how much damage alcohol can do to people. There are even places I can't work. There are organizations I can't work for. For instance, I don't think I want to work for a gambling organization like Bet Manager or something. I wouldn't want to work for any of those people, sports bets and all those things.
I hear you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to work there. By the way, this is not to say that if anybody does any of these things, we're not saying now you're a terrible person. We're just speaking personally for our own personal perspective.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I find that is really plaguing our generation, I think that God spared me from, and I say that with all humility because it is serious, and it's not because the young people are just being annoying and irresponsible and blah blah blah. I do genuinely think that the devil is doing a number in the world, and that is the whole rich boyfriend, aka sugar daddy, but it's different now because those days it used to be sugar daddies, big men, pot belly, bald head. That was the stereotype. Now it's young guys who are getting money through dubious means, and the reason you are dating them is for the money. So it's obvious it's for the money. So it's like, rich boyfriend, find yourself a rich boyfriend. Yeah. And let's be honest, some of those rich boyfriends know that you're with them for the money. And so the relationships are not the best at all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sexual demands. And if you're someone who's fine with casual sex, that's nothing. But you're my boyfriend. So it kind of makes it morally correct. If I'm, this is speaking for people of the world. That's why I say more like your own values is different from your society's values is different from Christian values. They are very different. And I want more people to know that the world that people are living and the world that we're living as Christians is totally different.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that is plaguing our society, this whole rich boyfriend, especially for the women, for the ladies, rich boyfriend culture. People are just wanting to be in relationships with guys who are rich so that they can afford certain lifestyles. You want to go to Dubai, they want to go on a yacht. And we see all these things being promoted in music industry and all that. And then on the flip side for the guys, there's the 419, the fraud, the online fraud, all the hush puppy kind of thing. All that lovely stuff, but God forbid, not lovely stuff. All that's terrible stuff. Yeah, that's one thing that I find that people are okay to do. People who have genuine reasons. Like someone said to me, the reason he does online fraud, mostly to the West, is because
they took from
us. So this is my turn to do to them what they've done to us, and it's from a place of pain and trauma. People make some of this
misguided trauma.
Yes, trauma that has been left unaddressed
because they didn't take your money.
They didn't take your money, child. And when you listen to some of the reasons why people go into certain things, these reasons are valid. Like someone telling you why they make cigarettes, that thing, tobacco, the worst thing in the world. How is it that there's a justifiable reason? You actually have a mission and vision statement for making cigar.
Yeah.
Then you slap cancer pictures on the back and you have mission. What is your mission?
But then you have a marketing team.
You have
marketing, making sure targets are met.
Making sure targets are met for something that has cancer cells slapped on the cardboard. Anyways, so some of the things I won't do, places I won't work, tobacco manufacturing industries, alcohol manufacturing industries, gambling companies, many other things, but those are the ones that come to mind. Anyways, moving on. Yes. So the main thing, how has money affected your relationships with people? So we're going to look at this from 3 different perspectives: your relationship with your friends, relationship with family members, and relationship with your significant other.
Okay. With friendships generally, you want to try as much as possible to be available for your friends. But money will always be a factor. You probably have heard about it, of situations where a vacation is planned somewhere.
Oh my Lord.
And because you can't afford it, they start to see you a certain way.
Yeah.
Personally, my view of that is I've grown past that level where I care what you think when I truly, genuinely cannot afford something. There's no need to pretend that I have something when I really do not. And so my friendships are guided with these principles. I show up for you when I can.
Yeah.
If it's financially or if it's my presence to make that event, even better, I do that. But I try as much as possible not to go above what I can manage. Because it's not a contest where I'm trying to show that I have more than this
You're not
person.
trying to prove anything.
I'm not trying to prove anything. And it's your wisdom to actually be that person who is not trying to prove anything.
Exactly.
Because you get into debts trying to prove strong.
Trying to live up.
Oh, you have friends who have all bought new houses or new cars.
Mm-hmm.
And so you are looking for, or you're feeling less of yourself because you can afford to now. Now doesn't mean you will not eventually be able to. So that's how I deal with it when it comes to friends.
So just to add something to what you said there around not trying to prove anything to anybody, I think it's very important that you curate your friendship groups very carefully, in the sense that you have people who see the good in you and people who are able to love you through the different phases of your life. I think if you're surrounded by people who are very materialistic, people who are very big on public show of wealth, people who like to live big life, if all your friends are ballers, right? And you are not there yet. I don't know. First of all, why are you, what kind of friendship group is that? I mean, you want a friendship group where people are doing well, obviously.
Yeah.
But you also want a friendship group where they understand the value of money and they understand that there are different strokes for different folks and different people at different points in their lives. So it's very important that you create your friendship groups in such a way that you have people who also have financial integrity.
Yeah.
People who have honor and respect for others, regardless of their status, of their financial status.
Yeah.
Friends who are understanding and loving. Friends who are even willing to put that trip on pause just to wait for you.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Just friends who are willing to sacrifice or bend themselves over to be there for you and make sure that they never make you feel like you are less than a friend or you are less than enough because
you don't have any time.
Yeah.
Just to point something out, we almost understand that there will be times where you have so much and there will be low times.
Yes.
Not because you are entirely broke and you're out there on the street, but because at that moment, you just do not have it. You can't afford to do something. And so no one should, in your friendship circle, start to make you feel less for not being able to do something.
I can't lie, personally, that's something that I'm always worried about. I can be my friends. I want to celebrate them. But I can't afford to even travel to their city at this time. And so I'm missing out on important milestones in their lives. It's so sad. But one thing that I can say to everybody listening, if you are at this point where your lives are drastically changing, you and your friends, your lives are changing and there are all these new beginnings. One thing that I can encourage you to do to help your friendship, especially when it has to do with, finances and how money impacts your relationships, I would say communicate, talk to one another. If you are out of job, your friends should know. I see no reason why you should keep it a secret from your friends. Allow them to be there for you. If you need money and they are sending you money, accept the money, accept the help, accept the love, accept the favors, accept the loans, And be a friend of integrity too. If somebody loans you money, I beg you, pay back. Don't leech off people and don't become so dependent on people then. Because let's not lie, free money is sweet.
Yeah.
Don't become a borrower all the time. Work hard. If they give you opportunity, they're always sending you job applications. I know it can become so burdensome, like, allow me rest. But still, just try. And share opportunities with people. If you have opportunity to make money, share it and just put people on to good things, put people on to financial opportunities, so that way you can all actually get the trip out of the chat and be what they say. Yeah, because if you're thriving and your friends are not thriving, it's not sweet. Let's be real.
It will be like a burden to you.
Oh Lord, yes, and that will be annoying. So if anything, make sure that as you are applying to jobs, you're asking your friends, how far are you applying? What's going on with your own life? And you too, as a friend, be someone of integrity that people can vouch for. There are certain people I cannot vouch for when it comes to business, because I vouched for you once and you messed up. You didn't take it seriously. So in my head, you don't need the money. I'm going to leave you alone. So be that person that someone can bring an opportunity to you.
And you did well.
Do it well. So how do you think money affects people's relationships with their significant other? So whether that's married couples, so we're going to talk about married couples, and even in the dating phase, how does money affect those relationships?
I think the problem starts to come when you're not honest about finance. One of the first advice I got before I got married was be very transparent. If I'm earning £1,000, there's no reason why I would say it's 900. It's my money. I'm the one earning it. But if you have a wife, if you are in partnership, in marriage, it's no longer you. It's now us. And so my £1,000 should not be reduced to 900 because I'm trying to keep something aside. So that's how I personally have approached my marriage when it comes to money. I understand that we need it to survive. It's not, it's an enabler, so to speak. We need to pay for rent. You need to buy food in the house. You need to, take care of your expenses, basically. And having a partner who is open, who understands that this is what you currently have, and that little one is used meticulously, I think is the best blessing anyone can receive. Another thing is, if you have expenses from before you got married, debt, so to speak, you had better speak out, because you don't want to keep that and you have half of your salary or maybe part of your salary being used to service debt. And then your significant other thinks that this whole money should be coming. Why is it not coming? Because you didn't mention that you had debt. So for anyone here who's planning to, get married, who's currently dating, the very first advice I'll give is be transparent when it comes to money. It's not going to be my money or her money. It's going to be the family's money. It's going to be the family's earnings every month. And so be transparent and budget. So there are many times you go out and you would probably want to spend for something that wasn't planned going out. If you're not a person who makes budgets like that, you will not be able to track how your finances come and go. And that can cause problems, because when you should have to do something as small as maybe paying for your council tax, paying for electricity, there's no money, and then you can account for it. There's a fight because, he's hiding his money or he's spending his money anyhow. So be transparent, have a budget. And if there are ideas to make more money, please take it. Take it. Now, there's a culture in Africa that the man takes care of everything in the home. It's true. As a man, you need to take care of your home. But if you're privileged like I am to have a wife who is supportive, if you find a partner who is doing that, it's an added blessing. For a man listening to me, you want to make plans apart from that. But then if it then adds, if your partner decides to add to it based off the conversation you had before getting into that partnership, before getting into that marriage, then you are blessed. So just to go back on what I've said, I've talked about transparency. I've talked about budgeting. I've talked about being open to your spouse, your contributing and all of that.
Yeah, I'm just going to go back to the very last point, which is the one about being open to accepting support from your partner. And what you said was that's highly dependent on the conversation you have before getting into the partnership. I think sometimes people shy away from these very difficult conversations, and they have reasons to, but it's very important that you reach an agreement before you go into this covenant called marriage. As much as the love is there and you know that you always be there for one another, it's so nice and lovely. When it comes to the practicalities of everyday life, structure is important.
Yeah.
You need to reach an agreement. Ask one another these questions. How are we going to handle finances in this relationship? When it comes to paying rent, who's going to be responsible for that? How do we pull the money together?
Yeah.
Are you going to be working, or are you going to have a business? It's just knowing that, okay, because it's no longer me in the picture, I have to be able to, to an extent, put my desires aside and think of how we can find a middle ground that benefits both parties.
Yes.
Right? It's that benefits the union, actually. That benefits the union, so that way you don't feel like, okay, you're pouring and nothing is being poured into you. Because we're supposed to support each other and like help each other's lives to be better, help each other to fulfill our individual God-given goals, as well as to fulfill the goal that this union or this partnership is supposed to fulfill.
Yes.
So these are conversations to have. Are we going to do business? At what point do we start doing the business? Are we going to be working? Who's the primary provider? Yes, who earns more money? I think what we do is we pull everything together. So every dime that we earn is not my money. I'm just the one dropping it into the account.
Yeah.
I'm the one through which the money has come.
Yeah.
But it's our money. And that way, whatever we want to do as a family comes from the money that each person has put in there, and we put 100% of what we earn in there. Even then, from that money that family money, we can now allocate personal, stipends or whatever. Like our personal savings, you can now say, okay, from this money, your personal savings, you can have your personal savings. I think that's what the budget sheets really helped us. So we have, plans for our personal savings, but it all comes from that family pool
income.
That family income. So those are some of the things that people can do just to prevent drama, to prevent fighting. I know that, speaking from a woman's perspective, and justifiably so, I guess, one of the advice that some of us probably got from our mothers is, you have to have your own money, you have to have your own stash. Can't really trust anybody, because we've seen people's marriages come to an end. But I would say that the fact that other people's marriage came to an end doesn't mean that yours will. And so just perish the thought. Don't be... Because the moment you start having plan B, it means that there is an opportunity for this plan to fail. I understand the whole point. Like, in terms of business or career, obviously have contingency plan. But this is marriage. Especially from a Christian point of view, it's different. It's very different. Don't be having contingency plan for your marriage.
If not, what if?
Yes, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Plan to succeed. And I also get that from you, even in terms of business or your career. It's either this or this. And I see the difference it makes in how you achieve your results, because the results are different. Once you focus your mind and your heart and you're saying, this is where I'm going, and nothing will stop me from achieving this. Approach the relationship in that same way. So much that not even money can come in that relationship. You guys are fighting over money. I mean, you have arguments over money at some point, but it's not something that will tear the relationship apart. It's something you can, sort out, you can resolve. You can manage. One conversation that we've had in our relationship, and this is even from when we were dating, is about family and, about family and our money, family and finances. So I understand that especially considering the fact that we decided we're going to pool money together as one. So 100% of what we earn from wherever goes into the family purse. And obviously, even in that money, we have budgets for helping people, for generosity. We have our generosity budget where we give money. We have fixed amounts of money we give to certain people every month. So how do we draw boundaries with family and giving to family? Because we have different experiences of family. I've come with my own fair share of trauma. And it affected how I perceived generosity towards family. You have your experience with generosity towards family. So what would you say to people who are having those conversations at the moment, maybe they're dating or they're even married? How can people establish those boundaries so that money does not affect their relationship with their family?
Great question. First things first, your immediate family, meaning your spouse, takes priority. And that's how I work. My family, my wife, takes priority above any other person because I have become one with her. So if she's not well taken care of, if she's not considered in my decisions when it comes to money, then there's a problem. Secondly, like my wife rightly said, we come from different families, right? We've had our fair share of dealings when it comes to money and family. For example, my family is quite large, and as much as I am one of the youngest, I come from a close-knit family where there will be times where on a whim, you probably need to support somebody. And one of the things I've tried to do consistently is, yes, I'm generous, I would contribute, but not at the detriment of my immediate family. There'll be demands from home. Many of them will be genuine demands. Many of them, those demands, if you do not contribute to it, the person will not die. But do not put your immediate family aside to cater for people outside. I like that. So do not put your family aside to cater for people outside. Now, when I say outside, yes, your extended family, they are still family, but it's different now. You have someone that you've sworn to take care of before God and before that family of yours. And so if there's anything that will make you not fulfill that vow, whether it be your extended family, then you need to be careful. So personally, my advice or how I've handled it is I put my family first, my wife first, and whatever is left is what goes to family. And like she rightly said, there are people in our generosity budget every month that we give to. So yeah, that's how I felt to deal with family and finance.
And honestly, I think you are somebody who has had, to the best of their ability, that balance of knowing how to really sacrifice for people. I mean, it's something that I even observed before we got married. Not just even for family, even for friends, for strangers, for anybody. You're the kind of person that would bend your back over, right? Like you're the kind of person who is always willing to help. And so it's very important that while you are someone who is very generous, you should also be wise to know when to say, sorry, I
can't right now.
Know when to say no and be okay with that decision. You know, don't allow people's perception of you make you feel like, well, you're a bad person because you said no this one time. And like you said, that's something that is predominant in African societies. That's why I said I've come with my own fair share of baggage as well, trauma, where I've seen family just take and take. Oh my God. I've seen family take and take. They don't care how that affects your family. They don't care how that affects you. They don't care if you give them to the extent that you become broke or like destitute. They don't care.
They just keep coming.
They just keep coming back. People are happy to just receive. And like I said earlier, free money is nice.
It's sweet. I would like to receive free money too.
Listen, and so I've seen the damage it does to even families. You know, when one member of the family doesn't know when to say no, it's something that's really affected me. And I guess for me, what that did to me was it made me a bit tight-fisted in the sense that you have to be at the point of death. I mean, I say this now because obviously meeting you has really helped reshape my relationship with money. It's easier for me to make investment decisions now, knowing that I can sacrifice money for a long-term benefit.
Yeah.
So you've really taught me, how to have a more positive relationship with money. And it has affected my friendships and my relationships better in the sense that I can gift people. Like I used to tell you, I didn't know how to gift people.
Yeah.
I genuinely did not know. And it's not because I was a wicked person. Upbringing is different. Family, maybe you guys used to buy stuff. If I genuinely do not know how to gift, it's something I don't know unless I intentionally teach myself to do so. So, gifting, and then in terms of family, knowing that the fact that someone else's life went a certain way and, someone else's family does this and that to them does not mean that everybody will do the same to you.
True.
And also knowing that I have the mind of Christ. I can genuinely spot somebody who is sincere and needs money. If I notice that, it's a habit and this person is just wanting to be a parasite, by the wisdom of God, I will also know when to say no.
Yeah.
I think also being, like I said, having the mind of Christ really helps me to discern how not to get myself, how to strike that balance. Yeah, that's something that's helped both of us as individuals, knowing how to strike that balance. We have kingdom responsibilities. So we give to the church, we give to our family, we give to friends. There are sometimes that God can lay someone's name on my heart and say, send this person money. I've had to do that before. And interestingly, God has also laid my name on people's hearts at different points and say, send money to this person.
Yeah.
It was nice because I think that was also God's way of saying, well, as much as I use you to bless people too,
I see.
I also will use other people to bless you. So just know that it is a cycle and you will be a vessel to be used to bless someone else at some point. So it's just knowing when to do all those things and then establishing boundaries and telling people, no, I can't afford this.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
And stick to your decisions. Knowing that it's a daily learning and unlearning process. We're all growing and becoming.
Yeah.
You as somebody, you've always been generous, and that's because you've come from a close-knit family where people are genuinely invested in the progress and growth of one another. It's mutual. Yeah. So you've also learned to see the best in people and always wanting to help out.
Yeah.
Also teaching yourself, as much as I'm that guy, I gotta say no.
Yeah.
And for me, knowing that, not everybody's out to get you. Some people are genuinely in need
and have just
yes. Yeah. So I've really learned a lot from you when it comes to finances. And I know that this episode has not done enough justice, but there's so much there's so much to learn from this episode, but then there's so much more to talk about. So thank you. I really hope that people glean a lot of wisdom from the conversations that we've had today.
Yeah.
And this is an episode to listen to over and over again. One thing I'll say to people is you can have a positive relationship with money. And your positive relationship with money means that you also have a positive relationship with everybody around you.
Yes.
If you have a bad relationship with money, you will screw people over.
Yeah.
You fight and quarrel with people.
Exactly.
You have trust issues.
You won't have friends.
You won't even have friends because you're suspicious of everybody or you're using people as a means to an end. So when you have a positive relationship with money, it would impact your relationships. So to end this episode, you're going to leave my listeners with a word for them to live by.
It's an honor to be here on the podcast today. Obviously, I'll be back as the husband. In closing, I would like to say that I hope that our listeners grow and become more financially aware, and you hold on to your friendships better.
Oh, thank you very much. Hold on to your friendships better. Date somebody that is financially wise and has financial integrity so that you can marry a man as wonderful as my baby. All right, my love. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Remember, rate this podcast. I don't know. Do you know what we need to do to beg people to rate this podcast?
I think I have an idea.
You have an idea? Okay, good. We'll talk about it later. But rate the podcast, friends. Rate the podcast. And I'll see you on the next episode. Have a lovely rest of your week. And God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.